So if you also have difficulty, when your opponent goes for the Ruy Lopez, which is after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and here he goes bishop to b5, and here it is very hard to play against it. And if you go for knight to f6, which is the Berlin defense, then this is very trash. Therefore, I'm gonna show you an aggressive way of playing against this opening, which is f5, the Schliemann defense. And most of your opponents will not be fully prepared to play against this. So here, as you can see, white have e takes f5, knight takes pawn, and there's also d3 and d4. First, let's look at e takes f5. Well then, you're not going to play d6, opening up the bishop. Instead, you just push this pawn forward, attacking this knight. Now all the squares are covered in front of this knight, so you gotta go back. And if it tries to be sneaky by playing bishop takes knight, then you just take, and after knight d4, seems like he have centralized the knight and he's also defending the pawn. Then you can go knight f6, but it's very passive. Instead you go for the aggressive option queen f6, hitting this knight directly. And after something like c3 defending the knight, you can first play bishop a6, preventing him from castling. And if it's not careful and gives you a casual check like this, queen to h5 check, then you will play g6. This queen is defending the rook, so if he takes, you will just take and then hit this queen, and you're also threatening to push this pawn to move this knight away, which is not good for white. Therefore here, instead of taking the knight, he might try queen e2, pinning the pawn to the king. Then you just move the queen here, unpinning this pawn. Now the knight has to go back. Then you play knight to d4, hitting the queen and the bishop, and threatening a fork on c2. And then he will just grab the bishop, and this is an easy win for black here. And here, if he goes for bishop takes a6, then you will just recapture with the d pawn. He takes the free pawn, but then you have queen to d4, hitting the knight and this pawn. Queen h5 check is bad because you can just block, and after knight takes pawn, you take. Here it seems like he can just take the rook, but actually it was defended by the queen, and you will grab the queen, and this is an easy win for black. Therefore, he will go back, but then he will take this pawn, and after he blocks, he will take, he takes, and black is having the advantage as his king cannot castle. Now what if here he plays d3? Then you will go for f takes e4, and after he takes, you just develop the knight. He also develops his knight, then bishop b4, pinning his knight to the king. Let's say he castle here, then you just take his knight, because his knight is unpinned and it also damages pawn structure. Then you just castle here, and let's say he goes bishop g5, pinning the knight to the queen. You will play queen e8, trying to move this queen here. Let's say he plays rook e1, then you move the queen here. Now let's say white plays something like say s3, then you will just play d6, opening up this threat. And if it's not careful and plays something like bishop takes knight, then you will just take with a rook. And now after something like say moving his queen, connecting the rooks, you are going to play bishop takes s3, and now this is an easy win for black. And here, even though if he tries to play bishop takes knight, then you can just take, and after something like here, now here you cannot take this pawn because black have knight to h4, hitting the queen, and the bishop is also attacked. So instead you can just develop the bishop and move this rook here to continue your attack, and this is quite better for black. Now let's look at black's best response, which is d4, counter striking in the center. Then he will go for f takes e4, and after he takes here, he will just take this knight, he takes, then you play c6, and after he moves the bishop back, you will have queen f5 check, then you will grab this pawn, and let's see castle here, you will go for d5, and this is quite advantageous for black. And here the best way to continue is not to capture this pawn, instead he got to eliminate the knight, and you got to prevent this check, so knight f6, and then you just develop the bishop and castle and continue this game. So that's how you can play against the Ruy Lopez aggressively. And if you want to learn some more amazing chess openings like these, then you can check out this playlist. And if you want to learn some chess traps, then you can check out this right playlist. And if you don't want to miss the upcoming videos, then don't forget to subscribe.